They should have been safe. At least 19 children and 2 teachers shot dead in their Texas primary school.
Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone?
America's shame. Millions across the US and the world tonight asking, when does the horror end? Anthony Albanese flies back to reality, a cost of living crisis and a dire national debt. A crying daughter and a web of lies. Today, a jury saw through it all. Also tonight, a jobs and tech boom for Western Sydney, and how this advanced technology is keeping the Rabbitohs ahead of the concussion game.
This is 9 News with Peter Overton.
Good evening. 19 little children won't be coming home from primary school tonight. Shot and killed inside their classroom in Texas. 2 of their teachers dying while trying to protect them. The massacre carried out by a local teenager, sparking an outpouring of rage and disbelief that more innocent lives have been lost, while seemingly nothing is being done about gun violence in America.
Panicked parents run towards Robb Elementary School. Terrified and desperate.
10. My name is McKenna.
How long have you been looking for her today?
Since it happened.
What are you worried about right now?
She may not be alive.
They're dying as, I guess, they're working on them. I'm just praying that my little one is okay.
These are the little ones who have lost their lives. This girl named on the class honour roll earlier today. Tonight, her parents are in mourning.
Just confused and worried. I'm trying to find out where my baby's at.
And 2 teachers, Eva Morales, who had worked for the school district for 17 years, and Irma Garcia, both died trying to protect their students.
When parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends.
Moments before the horror began, the gunman can be seen here stalking the school building. 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, a local high school student, he regularly posted photos of guns on social media, recently tagging a stranger and hinting that he had a secret.
There was some social media interaction, some threats that, kids should watch out.
Officials say he bought 2 assault rifles for his 18th birthday. Earlier in the day, Ramos shot his grandmother. She was airlifted to hospital. He then drove to the school, crashing his pickup truck.
He abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle.
Carrying out his massacre inside a classroom. Border Patrol agents responded. There was a shootout. Ramos was killed. Parents gathered nearby for a sickening wait.
I'm looking for my daughter. I mean, after the shooting, they don't know where she's at. I mean, the list, her name is not here.
Students were only 2 days away from their summer break. Now another American community is grieving.
My heart was broken today. We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
A nation once more despairing.
I'd hoped when I became president I would not have to do this again. Another massacre.
And the world watching in disbelief.
I speak for the government, and I think I speak for every Australian when I say our hearts go out to you who've been impacted by this, the families of those beautiful little kids and their teacher, the souls lost to another senseless act of gun violence in the United States.
US President Joe Biden drawing on his own personal loss to console shattered families.
Parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away.
It's the deadliest school shooting since the Sandy Hook massacre in 2012, when 20 children aged 6 and 7 were murdered in Connecticut. Joe Biden was vice president then. A decade on, the nation's gun culture remains unchanged.
Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen?
A question all Americans will be asking tonight, none more so than the parents who took their children to school this morning, not knowing they would never hug them again.
9 correspondent Sophie Walsh is in Uvalde, Texas this evening. Sophie, many families are still waiting for answers.
Yes, Pete, tonight some parents are still at the Civic Centre getting DNA swabbed, waiting for news on their children. The official identification process will take around 3 days. Their bodies won't be released for another 8. An agonising wait for these families as this nation mourns once again. Pete.
Sophie, thank you. Today's tragedy has reignited America's gun control debate with impassioned calls for lawmakers to finally act and prevent any more senseless deaths.
In the chamber where gun laws are debated and decided.
I'm here on this floor to beg, to literally get down on my hands and knees and beg my colleagues. Find a path forward here.
A senator desperately pleads for reform.
This only happens in this country and nowhere else. Nowhere else do little kids go to school thinking that they might be shot that day.
Giving voice to the anger and grief felt across a divided nation in the wake of yet another school shooting.
People said that after Sandy Hook that would be rock bottom, and yet here we are again. I don't know how much more our country can take.
The last 10 days we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California, and now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something?
In 2022, there have already been 27 school shootings resulting in injury or death. It's been 4 years since Parkland, nearly a decade since Sandy Hook, and more than 20 years since Columbine. In that time, more than 370 people have been shot and killed on a primary or high school campus.
What struck me was these kinds of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the world. Why?
In 2020, more than 45,000 people were killed by a gun in the United States. By 2021, there was a 52% increase in the number of active shooter incidents.
Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies?
One of the most powerful lobbies, the National Rifle Association, is scheduled to hold its annual meeting in just 72 hours in Houston, Texas, only 4.5 hours away from Robb Elementary School. Donald Trump is due to speak alongside Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Senator Ted Cruz, who was today quick to offer his prayers before defending his politics.
You see Democrats and a lot of folks in the media whose immediate solution is to try to restrict the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens. That doesn't work.
He's seen here in a campaign video showing off the exact same weapon used by today's shooter. Texas has some of the most lenient firearm laws in the country. Last year, Governor Abbott scrapped licences for handguns, allowing virtually anyone over the age of 21 to obtain one without a background check or training. The state's Attorney General today arguing for more firearms.
We can potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators to respond quickly.
Families who've lived through this horror are furious.
I'm done. They failed our kids again. Okay, I'm done. I've had it.
It's going to take more than thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers haven't brought my dead mom back in the past near decade. It's not going to bring back the people that were killed at Robb Elementary School today.
In the United States, Amelia Adams, 9 News.
Australians have been warned the economic situation is dire, with power bills set to leap from July. It could cause an early headache for Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who is returning from the Quad Summit in Japan.
The new Prime Minister has new mates.
Permission to call Prime Minister Albanese by his first name, Anthony. I would like to congratulate you.
While his first summit is done, the challenge from a more aggressive China will endure.
The Quad Leaders Summit represents our common purpose in support of democracy
in support of peace and security in the region.
Security shaken by a deal China signed with the Solomon Islands. Tomorrow, Beijing's foreign minister will visit the Pacific Island nation, then 7 other countries in the region, including Papua New Guinea, in just 10 days. Beijing says it's about closer communication, urging the Quad leaders not to see China through tinted glasses. Australia's response?
Making sure that we reach out to other countries.
New Foreign Minister Penny Wong will make a dash to Fiji tomorrow and other Pacific nations in the weeks ahead as Prime Minister Albanese heads home to domestic concerns around the economy.
The fiscal situation we're inheriting is dire.
The new money man meeting the Reserve Bank Governor and Treasury Secretary.
All of us collectively have got no shortage of challenges to be working on.
Warning of higher interest rates, greater pressures on cost of living, even more expensive power bills from July, and suggesting the nation's accounts could be worse than first thought.
Pressures on the budget which were not disclosed or booked by the previous government.
While the new government grapples with the economic problems, the previous government is soul-searching after the election loss, and Peter Dutton appears all but assured of being the next Liberal leader.
There is no one else who is putting their hand up to contest the leadership. So it will be Peter.
The man he would replace, Scott Morrison, preparing to adjust to a new life back home in the Shire. Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Di Lee, the new independent MP for Fowler in Sydney's southwest, insists she is eligible to sit in Parliament and is not a citizen of another country. Ms Lee was born in Vietnam in 1975 and spent time in refugee camps in Southeast Asia before coming to Australia. She has accused Labor of trying to smear her after defeating high-profile candidate Christina Keneally. 21 years after Irene Jones was found strangled and stabbed in her Landsvale home, her daughter has been convicted of murder. Isabella Carmelo Gomez claims she was attacked by the same intruder, but a jury found she killed her mother over forbidden love and money.
A crying and lying daughter with a well-rehearsed story for police. Isabella Carmelo Gomez, known then as Megan Jones, claiming she'd been choked by an intruder with white gloves and a stocking over his face.
Something came over my neck and I was pulled back. I couldn't breathe. I went back because I wanted to breathe. I started screaming.
What did you say?
I was just screaming like, help, Mum.
56-year-old Irene Jones had been strangled, stabbed and left in a pool of blood in the kitchen, her daughter running straight to the neighbours as part of her deranged plot.
Have you been hurt? Yeah. Do you need an ambulance? No, I can't find my mum. You can't find your mum? No.
Investigated as a robbery gone wrong, the focus shifted when Megan Jones sold the Landsvale home for inheritance and moved on with a married man her mother had disapproved of. By the time she was arrested 18 years later, she'd taken his name and was a mother living in Bondi.
I'm here for questioning, but I'm not charged.
You're currently under arrest.
Okay.
In relation to the murder of your mother.
All right.
Okay.
Carmelo Gomez claimed it was her lover who either killed her mother or arranged it. But the man at the centre of the case couldn't give evidence after suffering a brain injury in a car crash. Perhaps it was the hint of blood on a T-shirt that led to the unanimous verdict, or the funeral goers who heard Carmelo Gomez whisper, "I am sorry, Mum, it was never meant to go that far." Protesting her innocence as she was led away. Tonight she's in jail, a convicted killer. Tiffany Genders, 9 News.
The horrors of the Russian assault on Mariupol are still being uncovered. As many as 200 bodies have been found in the basement of a high-rise building.
And everywhere is smell of death. And really, a smell of the fire, smell of the smoke and smell of the death.
It comes as Russia steps up its efforts to steal the country's grain reserves, with disastrous consequences for the world's food supply. 18 alleged members of the Alameddine crime family have faced court today following yesterday's raids across Sydney's west. The men, aged between 19 and 39, face dozens of charges relating to an alleged dealer-dealer drug network used to deliver cocaine, MDMA and prescription drugs. Most of the group, including several high-ranking members, were refused bail. We have only just come through the federal election, but already the pitch to New South Wales voters has begun. The government today unveiling a new high-tech manufacturing hub in Western Sydney.
In the heart of southwestern Sydney, a pitch on manufacturing and turbocharging employment.
This region is the barometer for opportunity in Australia. And when Western Sydney goes well, Australia goes well.
To that end, a new advanced manufacturing research facility to be based near the airport at Badgerys Creek. It will get $260 million in the upcoming state budget to boost Australia's manufacturing of high-tech things such as computer chips, now in short supply, to reduce our reliance on foreign imports, particularly from China.
This is a building for everyone who wants to work in this new part of Sydney. It's about bringing businesses together, it's about bringing universities together, it's about bringing researchers together.
But in a sales pitch to business leaders here, the Premier outlined a laundry list of his government's major infrastructure projects. With a bruising federal election just barely behind us, there can be no doubt that today's pitch was firmly aimed at the next state election in 2023 and highlights just how important Western and southwestern Sydney will be. In a sign the battle lines are being drawn, Labor leader Chris Minns in a Homebush cafe with the new federal Labor member for the electorate, Sally Situ, both clearly focusing on their cost of living pitch to families under pressure.
We have a set of policies that will bring down electricity prices, bring down the cost of medicine and make childcare more affordable.
We heard this morning that we can expect a major increase in electricity prices for the July quarter. We would like to know from the New South Wales Government what plans they have in place to decrease the costs for businesses and families.
Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
It is time now to take a quick look at today's weather. Good evening, Amber.
Good evening to you, Pete. We enjoyed a mostly fine day with light southerly winds, fog rolling through the city and across our suburbs this morning as the overnight rain along the coast dried up and the sunshine came out. After an overnight low of around 12 degrees, the city warmed up to nearly 21 at lunchtime, a touch warmer than average. Our west dipping to 8 degrees, taking a little bit longer to warm up, reaching 21 mid-afternoon. Finally, Sydney sunshine will be back tomorrow. I'll be back with the full forecast a little later, Pete.
Amber, thank you. Rain bomb after rain bomb and now an explosion of mould. Not good for your health and your home. Tonight, the expert advice. Till my very last breath, a mother's vow over a 30-year mystery. Another 1.5 million Australians now eligible for a fourth COVID jab. The details next. Meghan Markle under fire after her father suffers a major stroke. And beneath the waves, an extraordinary life and death struggle.